Saturday special. Today we have a new treat for you. This is going to be the Baptist Potluck Cooking Show. This is going to be a show dedicated to how to cook, how to do anything you need to do to get ready for all those potlucks at your church. All these recipes are perfect for, say, a small family dinner in the evening, and as well as they can be brought up and made larger in order to have for a potluck. So today we're going to be making a family size one, but if you can do double or triple or even four times the size, you'll definitely be able to feed your whole church. So first off, we are going to start by talk about what we're going to make today. We are making my nacho fries. So we're going to start off here today. I have some sweet potato french fries. You can use any kind of fries you really like. I just really like these ones with it. A little bit of sweetness in it, and the taste and the texture are really great for this. So the best way I like to make these is dump them right into our air fryer here. I love air fryers. They are the best. You can do these in the oven if you like, but be warned, it just comes out so much better in the air fryer, and that frees up your kitchen for a step that's going to come later, or your oven. The kitchen's not really going to be fully freed up. So I'm going to set this to 30 minutes, and I'm going to check that every 5 minutes. So, and give that a quick shake to make sure no fries are burning, and to make sure they're not cooking a little faster than they should be. All right. So now we're going to move on to the next step here. I don't have my garbage over here, so ignore that. That just went on the floor. We are going to start by dicing up 1 onion, and we're going to add that to 1 pound of ground beef. So we're going to cut off the top. We are then going to cut off the bottom. There we go. Put this off to the side to be discarded. And then one of the little tricks I like to do is you need to have a sharp knife for this, and a really great knife is a good thing to have. We're going to score that. Just cut that top layer there. We're going to take that. And we are just going to take that top off. Get that part you really don't want to be eating in there. Get that skin off. Bam. You got 1 onion ready to be diced. Now, a little trick, if onions make you cry and you can't stand the smell of them, they make your eyes really water, the best way to reduce that is to don't cut the core. So what we're going to do on this one, we're going to cut around the core, cut around the core, cut around the core, cut around the core, and then get that core out of there. Oops, excuse me. Careful, they're slippery. That little bit last off. Should come out pretty easy. And then you have the core right here, and this is where a lot of the problems are going to come from for your onions. It's really going to save you a good amount of crying. It's not going to make your eyes water as much. It might still make your eyes water because, as we know, onions are, just one-stop be-all for crying. I wish I had the power of my sister-in-law. She can cut onions, do nothing, and they will never make her cry. Me, on the other hand, I have to be very careful because you're probably going to see in a minute this is really going to make my eyes water. So we're just going to get that cutting around. We're going to get that nice and diced up. You don't really need to be super accurate with this. We're going to get them real small, and they're just going to go right in the ground beef, and they're going to brown with it. So that way we can have some nice, delicious nacho fries with some delicious onion flavor. You can use onion powder if you want. If you want to make it for a quick Sunday night meal or a quick middle of the week meal, that's great. It makes it a lot easier if you use the onion powder, but it just doesn't carry as much of that flavor with it. So if you really want that flavor into this, you're going to want to use a real onion. Alright, so we got that diced up pretty well. I like them a little bit bigger onions in them. So then we're going to take it. We got our ground beef right here. We're just going to add that into it. We are going to make a mess while we do that. I am always a very messy cook. Very messy. Next, we got that. So we're going to do a nice little bit of some garlic. So we're going to get that out of here. We're going to get that out of the garlic paper. We're going to do 2 cloves of garlic. We got 2 little cloves right here. And one of the tricks I like to do to get my garlic open, I like to take it, I press it on the back of the knife, and then I crush it down. The longer your knife, the better. So you want it to be crushed down, and then you're going to cut the top off. You're going to cut that bottom off. Cut that bottom off. You can do this in reverse order. It's just fine, whatever order you want to do it in. But by crushing that garlic, it's going to allow you to get it right out of that paper there. It comes out super easy, so you're not fighting with that papery kind of stuff on the outside of the garlic. Again, you can use garlic powder for this. I prefer really to use garlic cloves. It really brings out that flavor, makes it taste a lot fresher, a lot better, a lot more tasty. And in case for any of you curious what's going on the stove back there, I have some rice cooking right now, and it's just some Mexican rice. It is some white long grain rice, right with the same kind of seasoning and same quantities I'm about to show you to put into this beef, and then we're going to get this grilling up. Nice and good, nice and brown, nice and tasty. So we got that garlic nice and chopped up. We're going to add that right into our ground beef. Make sure you don't lose any of the bits that are on your knife there. You carefully get them off. If you want, you can use another knife. I wouldn't recommend if you're not good with your knife, or if you don't feel comfortable doing this, don't do that. Because like I said, this knife, very sharp, very dangerous. The whole reason I bought this that I did was because I accidentally cut myself with them on a demo, and I cut deep, and I looked at the guy and I said, I'll take a pair. If that is what it can do to a human finger, I want that pair of knives. So next we have 2 tablespoons of chili powder. We're going to add that right in. Half a teaspoon of cayenne pepper. That's going to add a little bit of heat. You can use more or less if you like. I like it a little on the spicier side. My wife doesn't, so I err on the side of caution. 3 tablespoons of cumin. This is going to give it that real Mexican flavor there, that real flavor that gives it that je ne sais quoi. It's going to give you that taco flavor. You can use a seasoning packet for this if you want. A little bit of black pepper. I use about a tablespoon. I love black pepper. And then salt to taste. I like it a little bit on the saltier side. Some people might like it less, so you can just do a little pinch of it if you want. All right, and then, so we got this. We're going to get it all mixed up. Going to get it nice and ready to brown, nice and ready to cook right there. Get it nice mixed up. Don't be afraid to get in there to work it around, get it in there. If you want, I would recommend using gloves if you can't stand the feel of meat. I don't mind it. I don't care. But for sanitary reason, if you're doing this for your church, if you're doing it for your potluck, definitely wear gloves. Definitely make sure you're sanitary and following all the guidelines you can. However, we're doing this for me and my family tonight, so we are not going to be serving this to anyone else but us, so it doesn't matter. Of course, my hands are washed. Always wash up before you cook. Make sure you're nice and good. All right, now let's get this onto the stove, and we will make this into a delicious part for the tacos. All right, we're going to go and brown up this ground beef. I am using a cast iron skillet because I honestly love cast iron skillets. I hate any of the non-stick pans with that Teflon crap on them. I don't trust them at all. So I like to use either stainless steel, as you can see with the rice going back here as it cooks. I'm using a stainless steel pan for that. And I'm using a cast iron one for that one that has been treated already and is ready to go. I started off on a low heat, so to start it off, and then I'll bump it up to a higher heat as that beef starts to cook and brown, just to coax some of that fat out of it a little bit, cook it a little slower, because you don't want all that fat in there when you get into the next step. When we mess with the fries, it's better to have a little bit of lean beef. You'll have plenty of juices and flavor inside from the tomatoes, the lemon juice, and other things, so we don't really have to be too concerned with making sure that there's enough grease in there. Also, that stuff is just straight up bad for you. Drop a little fry in the comment, so I get a little treat. Like I said, I love these sweet potato fries. Just remember, every 5 minutes if you're doing an air fryer, check on them, make sure they're good. Unfortunately, my air fryer doesn't have a special setting on it for fries, so that's why I have to check on them so much. If yours does, like one I used to have, then it'll let you know when it's time to flip them. However, this one, just like every 5 minutes, make sure it's going. And they'll stay nice and warm in there too, especially once we get them into the oven to finalize everything. We're going to get this broken up. Beef is still a little frozen, but we're just going to go ahead and cook this up nice and good, get it nice and brown, nice and tasty, and we're just going to have a good time with it. as you're doing this, you get it up to a rapid boil, and then you're gonna lower that heat down to low, and you're just gonna let that rice simmer and cook. And you're gonna notice it's gonna turn. It's gonna slowly turn into rice. Like I said, you're gonna use the same amount of seasonings: 1 tablespoon of or less of cayenne, 2 tablespoons of chili pepper, 2 tablespoons of pepper, as I like it. One, if you don't like pepper as much, less. Salt to taste. And then you're also going to do 3 tablespoons of cumin. That's going to give it that Mexican rice flavor and make it real tasty to add into these nacho fries. It also helps stretch it further because, rice is a little cheap. So you're going to know that you're going to be able to get some good flavors and good nutrition as well for a little bit of a lower cost. And that's going to help stretch it out for either your family or for the church potluck. Another pro tip, make sure your burner's on when you're starting this. If your burner's not on, you're going to be sitting here forever. You're going to be waiting until the Lord's return until that beef is brown. And you're just going to go ahead and let this cook up. You can see that beef is starting to sizzle. It's really going. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to add just a little bit of lemon juice, just a dash of it into this. And that's going to add a nice little bit of acidity to it, as well as when we get to the tomatoes in it. That's just really going to drive home that delicious flavor in it. You can also use lime juice. That's going to also be real tasty, real good. But this is just going to give that beef and this whole dish a real delicious flavor. It's going to really bring home the inspiration of where it's coming from, which is Mexico. I love me some Mexican food. It's one of my all-time favorites. Anytime I go out of town to visit some family or a specific place, I always go to my favorite Mexican restaurant. That's pretty much the only place I eat. Alright, so our fries are done. We're going to take them out of our air fryer. We're just going to set these to the side right here. They'll stay nice and warm because we're going to, as we said, we're going to put them back in this oven. I got it preheated to 350 degrees. So once we're ready to get them in there, once the beef is done, we're going to get it all mixed together. We're going to add our accoutrements, whichever ones you like. I got pepperoncinis. I'm going to show you how to cut up in the way I like. Some nice salsa for once we're done. Some delicious cheese. I got a vegan cheese because unfortunately I can't eat dairy. You can use whatever cheese you like. But if you want to be a real saint, everything in here is also gluten-free. So if you use some dairy-free cheese, some dairy-free sour cream, I know it's not going to be as good, it's not going to be as tasty, but if you go ahead and use them, some of the people at your church will be thanking you because they're also going to be able to enjoy this wonderful dish you made. Or if you really want to, you can make 2 separate batches, split it into half batches. Do one for the dairy-free people who can't have dairy, or a gluten, and then you do one regular with all the people who can, so you can make everyone in your church happy, so everyone can enjoy your food and know just how great a cook you are. Yeah, look at that sizzle right there. That's how we know we're getting close to being done with this. That beef is getting brown. We're going to drain this off soon. Like I said, as I keep saying, we don't want all this fat in there. We're going to allow some of it to cook down to hold that flavor of it. But, that's just stuff that ain't healthy. It's artery clogging. But it is where the flavor comes from. I understand that. I know. Some of you aren't going to want to drain that beef off. That's completely okay. It will affect your consistency of fries a little bit. It might make them a little soggier, a little wet. And we know that that's coming down and it's getting close. We are going to drain that beef off, and then we're going to add in some of the diced tomatoes. One pro tip I always like to do, is when you're dealing with cast iron, eventually that heat will make it up this handle. And unless you got a silicone pad on there or you got a wooden handle one that you can be fine with and you're not going to have to worry about it, but we're just going to mix all this up to get them nice and in there, get that beautiful tomato flavor, get that get that acidic more in there, make it real reminiscent of the Mexican flavors, just get it good. We're going to reduce this down a bit so it's not so juicy. We're going to let that reduce down and cook a little bit longer. Then we're going to have a delicious thing. I'm going to show you how to add this into the fries and get it all ready. Alright, now finally you get this beef done and ready to add in. We're going to add a couple tablespoons of tapioca starch, or tapioca flour, whichever you want to call it. Alright, now we got our parchment-lined baking sheet right here. We're just going to go ahead and dump our fries right into there. Get them nice and ready, and then we're just going to spread them out. Nice and spread out there. They're ready to go. These are going to be our base layer for this entire thing. So they're nice. They're spread out. The reason I use parchment for this part is these are going to stick like no one's business. You can grease your pan if you want to. Use a little bit of olive oil, or I recommend coconut oil. That's a monosaturated fat. It's a lot healthier for you. Still going to get that flavor in there, or a neutral avocado oil. That was not neutral, excuse me. So we got that in there. Next, we're going to add our cheese. Do a layer of cheese in the middle. We're going to do this kind of lasagna style. So we're going to get a nice big thing of cheese. Sprinkle it over there. Get it over the fries. It's going to really help it out. You never have too much cheese. That's my motto. So one thing I'm willing to be super unhealthy for is cheese. We are then going to grab our beef mixture over here that was cooking. It's ready to go. Set it down there. And what I'm going to do to help get a little less juice out of here, a little less oil, and you don't have to do this part, I'm going to always turn off your stove when you're done. So I'm going to take my spatula here. And we're going to scoop it out of there so we can get a little less grease. We're going to go ahead and spread that all over the top there. Get it mixed in. More. Shake that in. Excuse me, this pan is heavy. Heavy duty one. All scraped up. I wish you could smell this. Hopefully if you're cooking this or following along, you can smell this, but this just smells wonderful. It's got that really delicious Mexican smell. You can smell the lemon juice, the onion, the garlic, and it just smells wonderful. So now we have all this deliciousness on there. It's ready to go, almost. I'm going to set this back down. Make sure if you got some real nice fancy countertops, or you got something a little that's not heat resistant, you can use either a hot pad, or I recommend a solid wood cutting board. Protect your counters. You don't want to break your counters. You don't want to mess them up with a little bit of heat. So that's ready to go. They're on there. We are then, like I said, a little lasagna kind of thing. So what I really mean is layers. We have layers here. Lasagnas have layers. Onions have layers. Ogres have layers. And so we're just going to get that all nice and on there. This is going to be good and tasty, good and cheesy. And everyone in your family and your church is just going to love this dish. All right, so we got that in there. Next, we're going to take this and we're going to set it to the side because we're going to get some of my favorite accoutrements on there. Go ahead and get this off of here. We're going to go and place this back on the stove here because this is hot. And we're going to let that cool down, and then we're going to wash it properly. Yes, I can wash that cast iron. Some of the older ones, no, you cannot. This one, you can go ahead and wash it, but be careful. Wash it with some stainless steel wool. Then you're going to quickly dry it off and either oven dry it or stove dry it. Make sure you get all that moisture out of there. Otherwise, you're going to be happy it's going to start rusting. Either you're going to have to restore it or throw it away and get a new one. You're not going to be happy about that. So next up, we're going to get some pepperoncinis to top off in there. You can use jalapenos if you like. I don't want it super spicy. My wife doesn't want it super spicy. Your kids may not want it super spicy, and the people at your church may not want it super spicy. So I like these ones, but jalapenos work wonderful. If you got people in your life who love that spice, jalapenos are great. And just like, a pizza, because we're doing this, you can do a little half and half. You can do quarters. Everyone get a little bit what they want on there. So we're just going to dice these up into nice little chips here. This is where having a really sharp knife really comes into play. So you don't have to saw these. You can just use a nice little proper knife motion here. These are real juicy too. These have a lot of flavors in there. They really absorb a lot of flavor as they, relax in that little brining mixture there, and they get so much flavor, and they're good on everything. I use these on everything from Mexican to Italian to American cuisine there. So we're going to do 3 of them right there. We're going to bring our dish back over here, and we're just going to go ahead and place these in however you want them in there. Sometimes I'll chop these up and just add them straight into it, finely minced, but I really like the looks of it when it comes like this. It really takes it to the next level. You get that wonderful, beautiful look on there. People are going to be so impressed with what you're doing. They're just going to love it. They're going to be so impressed with what you're doing. You're going to get all the compliments. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and add these on here. Come out good. There we go. More placement on there. These are going to cook down a little bit in the oven as the cheese melts and everything. That's mostly what we're doing in that oven there, is we're just melting the cheese in there, and then we're going to pull it out, and we're going to have the rest of it in there. So like I said, I had my oven preheating to 350 degrees. So we're just go ahead and going to get it right in there. On the crack it in 10 minutes, and we're going to see how it comes out. Then we're going to add the rest of our toppings, and everyone's going to eat, and we're going to be happy. You're going to eat it, and you're going to like it. All right, we got our dish out of the oven here. We're going to go add a little bit of that rice in there. I wouldn't recommend adding this. You can either add it in. I wouldn't recommend right away, because this could dry out your rice, and it could be good, could be bad. I prefer to add it in a little later. Get that in there. Get this on there. Add your rice in. Just get it all around. If you're doing this for family night, this is the best way to do it. If you're doing it at church and you want to look all fancy in presentation, go ahead and mix it into the meat and everything, and then add it in. Just get it all spread around there. Get nice coverage. Get it in there. This is going to add some good flavor to it as well. And like I said, it's just going to increase what you got there. Make it look good. Make it look great. But more than that, it's going to make it tasty. All right, so I put the cheese away like a dummy. We're going to reach in there and grab that out. We're going to open it up with great difficulty because apparently I can really seal this thing tight. Wow. Crap. There we go. Never had his bag sealed that quite that tight. We're just going to add a hair more cheese on the top there. Just spread it around. Bingo bango. You got some nice tastiness right there up top. Really get around there. That's going to be real tasty. You know, obviously I will give you a little disclaimer with this being vegan cheese just because I can't have regular dairy. It will not melt as well. But if you're using regular cheddar cheese or anything like that, you're going to be just fine. It's going to melt just fine. So it's going to go right back in the oven for just a few more minutes. Let that cheese on top there get a little melty, be a little tasty. And then we're going to take it out, and I'm going to add the last toppings I have to here. There we go. So like I said, we're going to give her 5 more minutes. We're going to be good to go. You will not best me, jar. There we go. All right, so now that's done. We're going to get that out of the oven, and we're going to go through the final preparation steps on how we're going to go ahead and make this the best it can be. There we go. So that's out of the oven there. We're going to go and take our salsa here and our sour cream. Again, I'm using alternatives here for the dairy. You don't have to, but the people at your church will love it. We're going to get this. A lot of the stuff is up at the bottom, so go ahead and get a nice little mix. Get all that flavor out from the bottom. Get that. We're just going to go ahead and get it on there nice and good. Go. That salsa. Get it spread around there nice and evenly. That's going to add a lot of delicious flavor to it. Of course, I mean, what is Mexican without some real good salsa? If you want, I would recommend this. You can add some guacamole to this as well. Unfortunately, the store I went to did not have any guacamole, so I couldn't add any. We might do a video in the future of how you can make your own, so stay tuned for that. But we're just going to get this all spread out here. We're just going to keep it going, get that all looking nice and good, and there we go. Bingo bango, Bob's your uncle. We got that nice and salsa up, nice and tasty. Next, we're just going to add a little bit of dollop of our sour cream here and there. So we're going to get some right there. There. So whatever way you do this, it's going to look good. It's going to be good. And you're just going to be happy. Everyone's going to be happy. Everyone's going to be full. Everyone's going to be asking you for this recipe. When they ask you where you got it from, you just tell them, I got it from Pastor Vox, from Ryan James. They're my favorite by far. They are not at all winging it as I go. All right, so that's all good. We're all ready to go. So we're going to get this plated up. We're just getting a nice little chunk there. It's just going to come right out of there. Bam, we got that plated up. Real easy, real simple. Oh, and just like that, you are ready to go, ready to serve. Nice and tasty. It's going to be just so good. Just, Hey, that is good stuff right there. You're going to be happy. The people are going to be happy with. You got that flavor in there. It's just bursting with it. All right. So, this is going to do it for this episode of Pastor's Vox, the Baptist Potluck. Make sure to let me know if you love this recipe, if you have any things, or if you made this recipe. Go ahead and give me a message in the comments below. As well, check out our link down there as well. If you like great faith-based apparel, check out our link there. And once again, this has been Ryan James with Pastor's Vox. God bless.